Ever felt like you're surrounded by people who just don't get it? You know, the ones who always put themselves first, the ones who seem oblivious to the needs of others. Well, you're not alone. Dealing with selfish people can be frustrating, even infuriating. But what if I told you there's a philosophy that's been helping people navigate these social minefields for centuries? Enter Stoicism. This ancient Greek and Roman philosophy has seen a resurgence in popularity in recent years, and for good reason. The Stoics offered a practical guide to living a good life, even in a world full of selfish people. Their ideas about virtue, reason, and nature can provide us with powerful tools for dealing with difficult people. Imagine this: you're at work, and your colleague takes credit for your idea. It's frustrating, right? But instead of letting anger consume you, you could apply Stoic principles. You could remind yourself that your worth isn't defined by recognition, and that the universe has a way of setting things right. In this guide, we'll explore the Stoic perspective on selfishness and learn practical strategies for dealing with selfish people. We'll delve into concepts like detachment, compassion, and setting boundaries. We'll also hear from modern Stoics who have applied these ancient teachings to their own lives. So, if you're tired of feeling taken advantage of or frustrated by selfish people, this guide is for you. Let's dive in and discover how Stoicism can help you navigate the complexities of human interaction. Understanding the nature of selfishness. Let's get real. We all know that person. The one who always has to be the center of attention. The one who only thinks about themselves. It's frustrating, and it can make our lives pretty miserable. But before we can deal with selfish people, we need to understand why they act the way they do. The Stoics and selfishness. The ancient Stoics, those wise old philosophers, spent a lot of time thinking about human behavior. They realized that selfishness is a pretty common trait. They didn't see it as a moral failing, but rather as a natural part of the human condition. Think about it. We're all born with a survival instinct. That instinct can sometimes lead us to put our own needs above the needs of others. It's not always pretty, but it's human nature. Selfishness in the modern world. In our modern world, selfishness can manifest in many ways. From the co-worker who always takes credit for your ideas to the friend who only calls when they need something, we encounter selfish behavior on a daily basis. Social media has only amplified this trend. We're constantly bombarded with images of people living their best lives, which can make us feel inadequate and more focused on our own needs. So, what can we do about it? Recognize selfishness for what it is. It's a human trait, not a personal attack. Don't take it personally. When someone acts selfishly, it says more about them than it does about you. Set boundaries. It's okay to say no. You don't have to be everyone's doormat. Let's use an example. Imagine you're at a party and someone starts talking non-stop about themselves. Instead of feeling irritated, try to understand where they're coming from. Maybe they're feeling insecure or lonely. This doesn't excuse their behavior, but it can help you respond more calmly. Remember, you can't control other people's behavior, but you can control your own. By understanding the nature of selfishness and practicing self-compassion, you'll be better equipped to deal with selfish people in a healthy way. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Practice detachment. So, we've talked about why people are selfish, but how do we deal with it without letting it ruin our day? The key is detachment. It's not about being cold or uncaring. It's about understanding that we can't control other people, but we can control our reactions. Remember the Stoics? They were big fans of detachment. They believed that our happiness shouldn't depend on external circumstances. In other words, it doesn't matter if your co-worker steals your lunch or your partner forgets your birthday. What matters is how you react to it. Imagine this. You're at a restaurant and the waiter is taking forever to bring your food. You're starving and you can feel your patience wearing thin. Instead of getting angry, you could practice detachment. Remind yourself that the waiter is just a person doing their job, and they probably have no control over how long your food takes. You could even use this as an opportunity to practice patience or mindfulness. Here are a few tips for practicing detachment. Focus on what you can control: your thoughts, your actions, your reactions. Let go of expectations. When you have fewer expectations, you're less likely to be disappointed. Practice mindfulness. Pay attention to the present moment and avoid dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. Embrace discomfort. Sometimes things won't go your way. That's okay. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means that you care in a healthy way. It means understanding that you can't control everything, and that's okay. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Let's try a little exercise. Think of a recent situation where you felt upset or frustrated. Now, try to look at that situation from a detached perspective. What was really in your control? What wasn't? By practicing detachment, you'll not only be better equipped to deal with selfish people, but you'll also experience greater peace and happiness in your life. Remember, detachment isn't about becoming a robot. It's about finding inner peace in a chaotic world. Cultivate compassion. Okay, so we've talked about understanding selfishness and detaching ourselves from negative emotions. But what about compassion? Isn't it a bit contradictory to feel compassion for someone who's being selfish? Hear me out. The Stoics, as tough as they seemed, actually emphasized the importance of compassion. They believed that understanding other people's perspectives was key to living a good life. And while it might seem counterintuitive, cultivating compassion can actually help us deal with selfish people more effectively. Why compassion? Because when we understand where someone is coming from, it's easier to let go of resentment. It's like seeing the world through their eyes. Maybe that person who's always cutting in line is feeling insecure or overwhelmed. Maybe the coworker who takes credit for your ideas is afraid of failure. Now, I'm not saying we should let people walk all over us, but understanding their motivations can help us respond more calmly and rationally. Here's a real-world example. You're stuck in traffic and the driver in front of you cuts you off. Instead of getting angry, you could try to imagine what might be going on in their life. Maybe they're rushing to the hospital. Maybe they're having a really bad day. By practicing compassion, you can turn a negative experience into a positive one. How can we cultivate compassion? Practice empathy. Try to see things from other people's perspectives. Practice gratitude. Appreciate the good things in your life and the people in it. Volunteer. Helping others can broaden your perspective and increase your compassion. Meditate. Mindfulness practices can help you develop a greater sense of empathy. Remember, compassion isn't about being a pushover. It's about being a more understanding and forgiving person. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." By cultivating compassion, we become better people, and in the process, we make the world a little bit better too. So the next time you encounter someone who's being selfish, take a deep breath and try to see things from their perspective. It might just change your life. Set clear expectations. All right, let's talk boundaries. We've covered understanding selfishness, detaching ourselves from negative emotions, and cultivating compassion. But what happens when someone consistently crosses the line? That's where setting clear expectations comes in. Remember the Stoics? They were all about living a virtuous life, and part of living virtuously is standing up for yourself. This doesn't mean being aggressive or confrontational, but it does mean communicating your needs clearly and respectfully. Let's say you have a friend who always cancels plans last minute. You might feel frustrated and resentful. Instead of bottling up your feelings, it's important to communicate your expectations. You could say something like, "Hey, I really value our friendship, and I'm starting to feel a little hurt when our plans keep getting cancelled. Could we maybe try to be a bit more reliable in the future?" Here are some tips for setting clear expectations. Be specific. Instead of saying, "You always do this," try saying, "I felt hurt when you cancelled our plans on Friday." Use I statements. This helps you avoid blaming or accusing the other person. Be assertive, not aggressive. You can communicate your needs without being rude. Be prepared for a negative reaction. Not everyone will be receptive to your feedback. Follow through. If someone consistently violates your boundaries, it might be time to reconsider the relationship. Setting boundaries can be uncomfortable, but it's necessary for healthy relationships. By communicating your needs clearly, you're showing others how to treat you. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "We have to learn what to accept and what to change, and then have the courage to change what we can, and the serenity to accept what we cannot." Remember, you have the right to say no. You have the right to protect your peace. By setting clear expectations, you're taking control of your life and creating healthier relationships. Practice self-care. All right, let's talk about you. We've covered how to deal with other people, but what about taking care of yourself? Self-care isn't selfish, it's essential. It's like filling up your own gas tank before you can help others. The Stoics, for all their focus on virtue and duty, understood the importance of self-preservation. They knew that you couldn't be of service to others if you were burned out and stressed. Think of it like this: you're on an airplane, and they tell you to put on your own oxygen mask first before helping others. It's the same principle with self-care. Here are a few self-care practices to incorporate into your daily life. Get enough sleep. Your body and mind need rest to function properly. Eat healthy food. Nourish your body with wholesome foods. Exercise regularly. Physical activity is a great way to reduce stress and improve your mood. Spend time in nature. Being in nature can have a calming effect. Practice mindfulness. Pay attention to the present moment and avoid dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. Set boundaries. It's okay to say no sometimes. Let's say you're feeling overwhelmed at work. Instead of pushing yourself to the limit, take a break. Go for a walk, listen to music, or read a book. You'll come back feeling refreshed and ready to tackle your tasks. Remember, self-care isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. It's about taking care of your physical, mental, and emotional health. The Stoic philosopher Seneca said, "It is not that we have so little time, but that we waste so much." Every moment is precious. Make the most of it by taking care of yourself. So, what are you waiting for? Start prioritizing your own well-being today. You deserve it. Avoid engaging in negative behavior. So, we've talked about understanding others, setting boundaries, and practicing self-care. But what about our own reactions? How often do we find ourselves caught up in the drama, responding to negativity with more negativity. Let's dive into how to avoid engaging in negative behavior. The Stoics were masters of self-control. They understood that our reactions to events shape our experiences more than the events themselves. Remember, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Think about it like this. You're driving down the road and someone cuts you off. Your initial reaction might be anger, but what if you took a step back and thought, maybe they're having a really bad day, or maybe they didn't see me? By reframing the situation, you can change your emotional response. Here are some tips for avoiding negative behavior. Practice mindfulness. Pay attention to your thoughts and feelings in the moment. Take a break. When you're feeling overwhelmed, step away from the situation. Count to 10. This simple technique can give you a moment to calm down and think rationally. Focus on the positive. Look for the good in every situation. Let's say you're having a disagreement with a friend. Instead of lashing out, try to listen to their perspective. Ask clarifying questions and try to understand where they're coming from. This doesn't mean you have to agree with them, but it can help you resolve the conflict more peacefully. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "It is impossible for a man to be hurt if he does not think himself hurt." Our emotional reactions are often a choice. We can choose to let negative events control us, or we can choose to respond in a more constructive way. Remember, you are in control of your own mind. By avoiding negative behavior, you'll not only improve your relationships, but also experience greater peace and happiness in your life. So, the next time you're tempted to react negatively, take a deep breath and ask yourself, is this really the best way to handle this situation? Practice gratitude. All right, let's talk about the power of gratitude. We've covered a lot so far: understanding others, setting boundaries, practicing self-care, and avoiding negativity. But there's one more powerful tool we can use to improve our lives: gratitude. The Stoics were big on gratitude. They believed that focusing on what we have rather than what we lack is key to happiness. Sounds simple, right? But it's a practice that requires effort. Think about it like this. You're walking down the street and you step in a puddle. It's frustrating, right? But what if instead of getting mad, you thought, well, at least it's not raining and I have a spare pair of socks? By focusing on the positive, you can shift your perspective and improve your mood. Here are a few ways to practice gratitude. Keep a gratitude journal. Write down 3 things you're grateful for each day. Practice mindfulness. Pay attention to the present moment and appreciate the little things. Express gratitude to others. Thank the people in your life who make a difference. Volunteer. Giving back to your community can help you appreciate what you have. Let's say you're having a tough day at work. Instead of focusing on all the things that are going wrong, try to think about something you're grateful for, like a supportive colleague or a challenging project that's helping you grow. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." And being a good person often involves being grateful. Remember, gratitude is a muscle that needs to be exercised. The more you practice it, the easier it becomes. So, start a gratitude practice today. You'll be amazed at how much it can improve your life. So, next time you're feeling down, try counting your blessings. You might be surprised at how many there are. So, there you have it. We've explored the Stoic philosophy, dug deep into the concept of selfishness, and uncovered practical strategies for dealing with those who prioritize their needs above others. Remember, the goal isn't to become a doormat, but to cultivate a sense of inner peace and resilience in the face of challenging people. The Stoics understood that we can't control other people's behavior. What we can control is our own reactions. By applying Stoic principles, we can learn to let go of resentment, set healthy boundaries, and cultivate compassion, even when dealing with the most difficult individuals. It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day drama and forget about the bigger picture. But by stepping back and reflecting on our values, we can make more conscious choices about how we respond to challenging situations. The Stoics believed in the power of reason and virtue. By living a virtuous life, we not only improve our own well-being, but also contribute to the betterment of society. Remember Marcus Aurelius's advice: waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Let's strive to be the kind of people who make the world a better place, one interaction at a time. So, as you go about your day, keep these Stoic principles in mind. When you encounter a selfish person, remember that you have the power to choose your response. You can let their behavior control you, or you can rise above it and live a more fulfilling life. The journey to becoming a more resilient and compassionate person is ongoing. It's a journey that requires practice and self-awareness. But it's a journey that is well worth taking. So, go forth and practice Stoicism. And remember, you've got this.